Welcome back to another episode of Parenting Teens Advice Redefined for today's complex world, where we explore bold, compassionate conversations that shift how we raise and relate to our teens. Today's guest is someone whose work is saving lives, reshaping how we support our youth. I'm telling you, this stuff is revolutionary. Yuri Mello is a licensed clinical social worker, father of five, the co-founder of School Pulse, a groundbreaking student support service that delivers positivity, emotional support, and growth mindset tools via text and email. After several heartbreaking teen suicides in his community, Yuri launched School Pulse in 2017 to offer proactive mental wellness support to students across the country. He is the author of Mind Over Gray Matter and Know Thy Selfie, and he brings deep passion for human psychology, kindness, and connection to over 300 schools in more than 25 states. I am so honored and so excited to welcome Yuri today as we talk about supporting teen mental health, proactively building resilience, and powerful ways we can show up for our kids before the crisis hits. Welcome, Yuri. I'm so excited.
Cheryl, let's rock and roll, sister. I'm excited as well. I appreciate you're bringing it right now. I love it. I'm excited.
And I want to know, before we even get into it, you're into this growth mindset, as am I. And I think, we don't even have to, like, looking at your videos and the work that you do, I feel like it's like interwoven in everything. So my first question to you, Yuri, is what was the download? What was the message? What is it that hit you that said, Yuri, this is what you need to do?
Yeah, you kind of talked about it just a little bit, right? Which was kind of the tragedy that we experienced here. And you and I've spoken a little bit, but I honestly just live in a beautiful place, Cheryl. Like, it is phenomenal. And about 7 years ago, when we had 7 student suicides that hit our community in these high schools. And that was really the genesis when a principal came to me and said, hey, I'll be honest, Yuri, like, I don't believe I have anything that is proactive. I feel like I'm literally just waiting for these crises to happen and then reacting, right? And trying to do the best I can to deal with the fallout that's occurring in my community, that's occurring in my school. And that was really the beginning of a conversation that ultimately led us to finding ways to proactively engage students, whether it be via text or email or through our tools that we provide to schools. But that was really the start. And then I kind of got together with the other co-founder, Trent Staley, who's just a software engineering genius. And he and I kind of decided on the idea of, like, well, let's not just create resources, let's find a way to deliver them proactively. And then years after that, while we were delivering some of these texts to students, we noticed that they were engaging back. At that point, we weren't even talking back, but they were engaging back with kind of our service. And that's when we decided, hey, what if we put somebody else on the line meaning over text, and just begin to respond. And that's when we really started, I think, to see the potential impact that we could have, right? All the way from, kids who were, struggling with suicidal ideation or homicidal ideation or self-harm or reporting physical or sexual abuse or dealing with school shootings or whatever it is. Like, all of this was coming in, and not all the time, right? I don't want to present that. This is like 90% of our conversations, because the reality is it's only about 10% of our engagement with students is focused on crisis. The other 85 to 90% is really students reporting how life is good, how they're graduating, how they passed their classes, or how they're overwhelmed or burned out. But it's just awesome. There's just such a powerful idealism that teens bring to this world, honestly. They've made me a better person without a doubt. And that's not just my own kids, but other people. it's just been so fun. Like there's nothing like walking into a middle school or high school and just feeling that incredible energy in that building. Like, and I think when I was a young teen, like that stuff just scared the heck out of me. Like I was incredibly intimidated by that. But now I'm old and
Aren't we
I
all?
don't care anymore. And so I walk in and I'm just like, yes, like this is incredible in here. But I think as a young boy, I was like, ooh, this is kind of scary stuff. But anyways, I don't know. That's kind of what I think. But
I can't agree with you more. I worked with teens for like you know 25 years, and it used to, and this is part of the reason why the podcast and doing the parent advocate stuff is because it's too many times I heard a parent say, "Oh my God, I just can't wait till they're 18. Oh my God, I just can't wait till they're out of the house." And or walking around the high school and teachers going, "Oh my God, these whatever millennials, whatever it is, they
yeah.
bumped into one like group of whatever." And I'm like, oh my God, but these guys are amazing. Like teens, when they drop their mask and they
Yeah.
know they can trust you and they know you're actually there to hear them, like it just changes the whole game. And I'd love to know, like, why do you think you started this texting thing and you were like, oh, they actually started responding? Why? Why do you think they're responding? What is it about that? They're like engaging. Because mom texting son is like, oh, I love you, have a wonderful day. And if everything happens, and the kid's like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
lame, like K, if you're lucky, 4 days later. So I want to know what it is about this school pulse that kids are engaging. Why are they engaging with you?
That's a fabulous question. And I will say too, like, because I mean, I'm a dad. I send dad, texts with punctuation and periods. And I hear it from my kids, like, why, dad, don't put a period at the end of that text. Like, that's so, I love it. I absolutely love all of it. Like, I love their lingo. I love their slang. Like, it just makes me laugh. Like, um, but I think that there is something kind of unique about our texting service. And I will say, like, I mean, so for example, like when a student, right, participates, right, and they actually just scan something like that, right? They scan that and they literally get a text that just says, hey, welcome to School Pulse, right? And from there on, we begin our weekly campaign. So every Tuesday and every Friday, we deliver content to our students. Every Tuesday, our awesome videos, our inspirational videos. And then on Friday, other inspiring and obviously like evidence-based content goes out to them. But we just ask questions. And of course, teens don't respond to everything we send, right? They realize that it's kind of a service. But every once in a while, right, they do, right? And when they do, our goal is we kind of have, so we have this team, right, of professionals and trained paraprofessionals that engage with these students. I call it's my pit crew, or it's the positive interaction team, and we kind of have this motto, right? And our motto is that every interaction is a positive interaction, right? Whether that interaction is F you, you guys are so lame, how do I jump off of this, or how do I, or other inappropriate things that teens will somehow write, right? Mm-hmm. But for us, once again, every engagement is a positive thing because it gives us the opportunity to present what we actually do, right? Which is we greet students with enthusiasm, no matter what they bring. Like we thank them for being there. We ask them questions. We don't jump into advice or you need to fix this. It's not condemning. It's gentle. It's kind. It's reassuring. We cheer for them. And I think once kids begin to realize that, right, and like you said, right, when they begin to predict, right, that this is what's going to happen every time they reach out to us, which is what trust is, right, is our ability to predict. Then kids begin to open up a little bit. And we have kids that'll immediately jump on, like straight into like, here's what's going on in my life. And then we have others who, just tease or poke at the system or try to figure out, is this like a real person or is this AI?
Yeah.
And it's so fun. It's so
So
fun.
it's never a robot. It's never a bot.
It's not AI at all. It's not
Thank
AI at
you.
all. These are like real people. Of course, the text, I mean, that we send out, I mean, I create all those, I kind of create all the content. But the moment that they begin to engage, it's live person, 365, 8 a.m. to midnight. It's pretty incredible. So, and anything you can imagine, right? All the way from just life is great to life is not great, right? And I think I'm going to kill myself. Like it really, it can get intense really quickly. The other thing, I'll say one more quick thing, Cheryl, sorry, but I think
Yeah.
the other thing that, not just the proactivity, right? The fact that we're tapping these teens on the shoulder a couple of times a week, but the anonymity does make a difference, right? I mean, we're dealing with minors, of course, and that can be a little controversial, I have to say, um, but part of that protection, right, is that it's anonymous, right? We don't know who this teen is. We know which school they go to specifically.
Okay.
And so when students come to us and they report whatever, right, physical or sexual abuse, or they're having homicidal ideation or suicidal ideation, or they're struggling with substance abuse or substance misuse or whatever it is, right? We don't know who that student is unless they tell us. And that's part of our service, is that's part of that safety, right? That allows them to reach out and to feel safe about that service, is we don't know who they are. And so when students come to us with those really critical issues, yeah, we engage with that student. Obviously, we love them. We provide support for them. We give them everything, every resource available. But our goal ultimately is to get these remarkable kids and connect them to their families, connect them to their parents, their guardians, whoever's caring for them. And then in addition to that, we do everything in our power to connect them to the professionals at the school who can then intervene. And I would say that that's about 85% of our interventions happen through the school. That's the way the students would rather it go. And then it goes to the parents. So we've been incredibly successful, but I think that that's what makes it so approachable. Is number one, we're predictable. They know exactly what they're going to get. We come to them. And then the anonymity, once again, I think kind of just, that's the icing on top. And they feel like, okay, like I can come, and they'll ask the question, right? I mean, they want to know, like, so do you know my name? Do you know who I am? Do you know, and we just say, no, we don't know who you are. We know which school you go to. And if you want us to connect you to somebody there, we love to, love to.
Yeah.
But
so how does that work through, like logistically, through a text number? How does that work?
Yeah. So when they opt into the service, right? So like I said, I mean, this is just an example of how it would work. And we put, kind of these posters throughout the school. And a lot of times I'll do kind of virtual assemblies for schools throughout the country and encourage students to participate. And of course, it's not mandatory, right? I mean, whoever wants to participate can. And we have other ways of reaching kids too. But the way that it works is, I mean, it works through Twilio. Twilio is basically the company, but it's anonymous to us. Like we're actually, we don't have the ability to see who that person is that scans this number. And so it's truly an anonymous service that allows us to provide that. We give schools access to see the engagement, so schools are aware, but unless the student self-identifies, we don't know who it is. Like that's kind of part of our philosophy to get students to participate and to get meaningful and quality conversations, is we have to provide that. So yeah, it's go ahead.
I was just going to say, as you talk about anonymity, and there's that whole other side of I'm going to say, like, being on your phone, but there's that other side of social media. So there's those kids who will be in their room and they'll be bullying, and they'll be like, because they know it's completely anonymous, but aren't they brave? Aren't they brave? Right. Well, look at this is like using your power for good instead of evil. they can be brave with you. Like, it makes sense to me that they would really start opening up to you, because they do in their rooms when they're, not that all kids do this, but I was talking about this Netflix series I'm doing a review of on the podcast, and these kids are just hiding in their rooms, and they're just tormenting each other because they're not face to face. They can be cowards behind the screen. And I mean, they can be brave on the screen and on the device. And I feel like it's almost the same with you, but in such a great way. Like, oh, I can be so brave with this guy or this company or
Sure.
whoever I'm talking to, the team.
Yeah.
I can be brave with them because there's no risk here.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant. Like, brilliant.
And Cheryl, I'll share a quick. I mean, we have so many, like in my mind, like Nobel Prize winning. The stuff that we see in here is just fabulous. But I can think of over the years, not very many, I'll be honest, but a few students, and actually, I would actually say that there's kind of a solid percentage, right, of students that when they begin the service, there is a lot of that kind of testing, and where they are inappropriate with our team, right? They are mean, cruel, inappropriate, sexually explicit, meaning they're saying things like that to our team. And of course, I mean, we do trainings. But I remember one individual specifically, and I don't know what was going on with this kiddo, but his engagement with our team was sad, really, is what it was. But he was inappropriate, cruel, unkind. I mean, and there was like no let up. And we're not talking like, oh, like a few texts here and there. And we're talking like almost on the daily, right? Wow. Like where he would communicate and just say really cruel things to our male and female team, right? And we answer as a team, we answer as a committee, which is actually one of the benefits of our team. And I remember having conversations with my team about, like, should we remove this student from the service? Because it didn't matter what we did. And honestly, like, part of my engagement with the team is like, look, we really don't need to engage that much. We just need to say, hey, we're happy you're here. Just let us know if we can help, right? Yeah. Because after a while, like, the team wants to try, right? They're idealists too. They're optimistic. Like, okay, that maybe if I say something, or if I engage in a positive way, or if I do this. And to be honest, in the large majority, that is exactly what happens, right? We greet them with kindness, with gentle, with compassion, with enthusiasm, with friendliness, right? Mm-hmm. And they reflect that back over time. But this kid was not doing that, right, for a long period of time. And for me, first of all, right, I mean, this is like the age of school shootings, right? In my mind, I'm thinking like, we absolutely need to keep this kid on. Because I mean, his language is so violent, so vile. And so in my mind, I'm thinking like, this is part of the service that we're offering this school is we're finding a way to provide some positivity, some positive to the student. Yeah. And but I remember as a team, we had that conversation. Should we keep this student on? Should we take them off? And at the end of that conversation, we decided to keep that student on, and we kept them on. And there's no necessarily rainbow finish to this story. There was an incremental progress. There was incremental progress with that student. And there were a couple of times when we were able to reach that student a little bit, but then it was kind of back to inappropriate. But I actually feel, interestingly enough, like, I mean, we've had incredible outcomes. But I would actually even say, like, on our team, like, I feel like that was one of our greatest accomplishments. Mm-hmm. Like, he was very challenging, but I'm absolutely grateful and honored that we were able to serve it. And this was like for a couple of years, like, where we were providing that support to this individual student. So yeah, it's powerful. It's definitely a work of optimism and hope.
When I think of that,
There's
I
some really
think of,
challenging ones.
sorry,
No, you're
it
good.
pops into my head that when I think of that, it's almost like this guy, this student, I shouldn't
Sure.
say guy, is like, I'm waiting for you to give up on me. I'm waiting for you to give up on me. Come on, give up on me. Everybody else does. This
Right.
is how somebody talks to me all day long, and I'm a big believer that behavior is so secondary. It's so secondary. This is behavior is just a way of communicating to you. I just can't meet that expectation, whether it's on me or somebody else. I just can't meet it. And so the behavior comes. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to have a meltdown at high school. Nobody wants to pull out a gun. Like, nobody wants to do that. But when they can't communicate how they're feeling, when they don't, that's how it comes out in my mind, in my eyes. Like, we all just
Yeah,
do
it's a
well when we
manifestation,
can.
right?
Yeah.
It's a manifestation
Yeah.
of our behavior is a manifestation of whatever is happening internally to us, right? It's and you're right. Like, I mean, we have no idea, right, what was going on, and this student didn't let on a whole lot. We definitely have others who do, right? I mean, we do have others that once they hear that kind word from us, and they recognize that that's exactly what they're going to get, regardless of what they say. We do have some other really extraordinary events, but that one is just one that sticks out to me, just because of just how it was just really challenging for our team. Like, I mean, I think we predominantly, for that team, I'll be honest, I think we have a tendency to hire women. I think, honestly, because women are just better communicators, number one. Yeah. And I think women just, well, I don't know. This is going to sound a little generalizing or maybe even sexist, but that's just what we've noticed. Like, I think they just connect well. And they're very kind and compassionate. They can be, right? Just like everybody else. But at the same time, I think that's where, and so that was really difficult for them, right? I think to attempt to connect with this individual, and he wouldn't allow, right? He was just like a locked house, full of just like bile, like, ugh. And so I wanted to protect our team too, right? Because I mean, I want them to be functioning at the, in a fun, happy, and once again, 99.9% of the time, it is an extraordinary environment. And I will say, I mean, we have pages upon pages upon pages of just, little statements that we've taken from students, of them just being grateful and kind back and thankful. And so we just have, even though we're dealing with this like teen mental health crisis, right, which at least here in the US, and actually throughout the world a little bit, right, this uncertain time for kids, I just find that they're exceptional. Like, I'm so unbelievably hopeful and optimistic for them, even though, like I said, in this age of social media with phones, I think we're now just beginning to understand the negative impact of that. And yet I'm fully confident that they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to figure out, like, how are we going to deal with this and not have it like us become these social idiots, like, who don't know how to engage in the world, and or how to have any sort of emotional muscle, right, to just endure through the challenge of hard things and continue on in a hopeful and optimistic way. But they're going to do it. They're going to do it.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
And as I'm thinking about the texting, I'm thinking of parents at home going, oh, well, I can just start texting my kid. I can just start texting. Listen, I was in the education system for 25 years, and my son in high school, I was at the same board of education, literally the same board. So not only did they think I was born 40 with no experience, no life experience, didn't know anything, my whole job was to boss them around. There's this one time I got a call, at that time, schools would phone the parents if the kids didn't show up for school. And I got a call, no, your son's not at school today. I was like, what the hell? So I called him, buddy, what are you doing? He goes, oh, Mom, it's a PD day, professional development day. I said, do you know what I do for a living? Well, yeah, you're a teacher. I said, do you know what board I work for? Oh, yeah. So if you have a PD day, then buddy, I have a PD day and I don't have a PD day. And if anyone needs more schooling right now, it's got to be you.
I love it.
But, so this comes to me because it is a different relationship. Like parents are there to 100%. But I feel like that whole other angle that you take with this, I think is vital. Like, I think, it's just how kids feel about their parents are very different. And there's also that whole level of, I don't want to upset my mom. I don't want to piss off my dad. That'll make me feel guilty or that. So I love that you do this. And this is a whole different angle. And I just, can you say more about that to parents who are thinking, oh, why can't I just text my kids and stuff?
Well, and they can, and my goal is to exactly do that, right? There's no doubt in my mind, and this is not just for teens, but adults as a whole, right? That our positive relationships, I mean, are the most important factor, period. Like in our overall short-term and long-term happiness. And so our goal is to help those teens build those relationships with their primary network, of course, with parents, siblings, etc., and other adults around them. Like we are not here to enter into some form of competition. Our goal is to always promote that. Like,
yes.
In fact, a lot of our videos are about that. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it's just like when I send, I shouldn't take credit. It was really my wife, but like all of our kids have kind of gone through piano throughout their years, and they've done other sports, whether it be soccer, et cetera, or other things like that. But there's just a different relationship, right? When you send a kid to a teacher, when you send them to a coach, or a teacher at school, or an administrator at school, like those are different relationships, and those are valuable. And they need to learn how to navigate those as well. And so there is a little bit, I think sometimes parents, myself included, I won't take myself off that list. I think we can feel a bit uncertain because we can't fully control those engagements, right? Other than like I said, we provide full transparency to schools about what we do. But I understand that parents can be a bit nervous, or they feel like we're kind of encroaching upon something that we shouldn't be. And that's a big issue here, I think, in the US that you see is we have a lot of parents, who look at schools and the amount of kind of mental health type related content that's going out to students. Here in the US, we call it like social and emotional learning, or student wellness, or student mental health. But honestly, and in some states, like that's very welcome, and in others, it's not. Like in others, parents will feel like that's not why we're sending our kids to school. Like, just focus on academics, please, and nothing else. And other schools are like, well, yes, we can do that, while at the same time, we can reinforce and provide kids with extraordinary enrichment content. Not only can we enhance the culture and the climate of our school, but we can actually enhance their academic achievement. And so that's actually what we do. Like, we approach schools, I would say, in a very, what's the word that I would use there? It's not neutral, but in a way that's non-threatening, and in a way that that is meant to enhance student success instead of really be kind of highly mental health focused. And so because in a way, like, we realize that there's going to be some pushback there, and we're trying to avoid that. And so a lot of our content is meant to enhance joy, which the research would show that, right, that success revolves around happiness. It revolves around our wellness instead of the other way around,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so when students are happier, when they feel better, their outlook is better, their optimism is better, they perform better for longer, they retain information better, they make better decisions. So that's really what we try to bring to a school, and that's the way that we approach it with parents, because we want to let them know, like, hey, we're here to just take the incredible good that you're already doing, the blood, sweat, and tears that you're putting into this child, and we just want to enhance it. We want to multiply the goodness, and we have that ability, which is really cool. So, but it's a challenge, and I actually understand that. We're very respectful of that. We just want to provide content that schools feel proud of and unafraid to share with parents. And so, for example, one of the very first things that we do, Cheryl, when we walk into a school is we ask the school to launch, we have an email campaign that goes out every Tuesday, right? And we have the school they sign up all of the parents. And so every Tuesday, these parents get one of our student success videos, right? And for example, like, I mean, we obviously it's the end of the school year for a lot of students. And so we've had not just videos about, how to have a successful summer, or 3 things that I need to do to have a great summer, or towards the end of the year, like, we had specific videos on how to deal with burnout, or, how to finish your year like a boss, and just have all of these teens. And our goal is to put these in the hands of parents so that they have these little tools that they can utilize with their children. And so we realize that to truly bless the lives of students, we really have to provide some support to parents as well, and that's what we try to do.
Well, and I look at the whole approach as, and I wrote down right at the top of my notes here, it's like it's holistic. Like, you're getting the teachers, you're getting the administrators, you're getting the parents, you're getting the kids, like, from every angle, which is phenomenal. I think I would love to ask you, why are our kids, it feels like they're struggling so much more with mental health right now. And it's funny, as you talk about giving them these skills, when I hear the word resilient, I think about COVID and the pandemic. And resilient is bouncing back to normal. And I started hating that word, because it's never going to be normal. But I feel like the skill of equanimity is like, that's the skill we need to teach the kids, because then they don't need to worry so much about resilience and bouncing back to normal, because what is normal? I don't know what normal is. Right? Like, and
Sarah,
so.
Oh, I love it. Let's get into this, because I actually want to, I'm okay with the word resilience, but I think you're right. Like, I think, and psychology does this all the time, and sometimes it's absolutely maddening to me. But, well, and maybe it's not even psychology, but it's almost kind of like, it almost becomes pop psychology, right? There's they're like keywords, like, and all of a sudden it's resilience everything, right?
Yeah.
Or
trigger, resilient.
Yeah. And I honestly feel, and these are just my thoughts. I want to be very clear. Like, these are just ideas. We're having a great discussion about it. I actually feel like sometimes I understand why parents are concerned sometimes when we talk about mental health, because I think we talk about, well, it's not that we talk about it too much. It's that I think teens are becoming almost overly comfortable with mental illness.
Yes.
And it's almost like, how do I say this? It's almost like, I mean, number one, they're like overly diagnosing themselves, right? I think there is a huge focus on this, on the negative, right? I'm depressed, or I'm anxious, and they throw out these diagnoses, right? And really, we have to consider this concept that our words matter. Like the things we tell ourselves
Yes. Oh my God.
matter incredibly. And in fact, there's a couple of great lines from, I want to say, what's the play? Into the Woods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But there's a couple of great lines in there, right? It says that words are spells, words are children, they grow, right? And this doesn't just mean things that we're telling other people, right? It's the things we tell ourselves. And so for me, it's really important, like all of our content, the things that we send out to teens. I think what you'll find is that it's very non-diagnosable language. Like I'm not talking about diagnoses. I'm talking about it. In fact, I'll go to that too. This is something that we've found as well, and that psychology is trying to fix a little bit, is I believe that psychology has actually been fixated on mental illness forever. So when you're talking about that resilience, right, you're talking about getting back to normal. And that's almost like psychology has focused for a long time, right, on just relieving suffering, right? Is diagnosing a disorder, whether it be a major depressive disorder or obsessive compulsive disorder or trauma or whatever it is, and then getting people to get back to center, right? And I think what we've seen over the past, I don't know, 60, 70 years is actually psychology shifting. This is kind of called the fourth wave of psychology. Psychology shifting from not just relieving suffering to normal, but talking about the other side of the continuum, which is positive psychology, right? It's the study of human flourishing. It's the study of joy. It's the study of happiness. It's the study of purpose and meaning, and helping people to do that. And so I think a lot of the study of psychology isn't just about resilience or getting back to zero. It's the study of growth, evolution, of joy, of flourishing. And that's what we really want to bring to schools, actually, is our goal is, let's get out of this like high focus on the deficiencies of human nature. And instead, let's talk about how, even despite some of these challenges, which of course we face and people will face, let's talk about, are there, instead of just focusing on the risk factors, can we talk about the protective factors and teach our kids the kinds of things that will actually prevent or protect them from suicide, or protect them from the kinds of mindsets that could be dramatically negative for them. And so I think social media has been a contributor to that, right? Where we have these teens who love to, like, it does feel good to identify. It's just unfortunate because we're often identifying with the wrong thing. We're misidentifying. Like, it feels real, thinks real, just happens to not be real. And so it's a complicated, nuanced conversation. I'm glad we're having it. I don't even know if I've come to terms with it fully yet myself. I just know that I don't want to spend my time in risk factors. I want to spend 90% of my time in protective factors, in helping kids lead joyous, adventurous, living deep, sucking the marrow of life kind of stuff, because I know that will protect them from this, or help them to bounce back quicker from those times. So anyways,
we're not
not where you
giving
wanted
them
to get into, but
no, and we're not giving them a life that they have to recover from. Right. And I feel like when we talk about the mental health challenge, and I am not diminishing for 1 second, but I feel like too, sometimes we're talking about it so much, it normalizes things. So when a kid is actually in crisis, then we have 20 kids who are in crisis, and we have one kid who's in crisis, and we have now a 72-hour wait in the crisis units, where the kids who need this are now waiting 3 weeks for treatment, 6 weeks for treatment, because it's almost normalized. There's no like, oh, this is the kid we need to take in right now,
Sure.
because, these other kids are using the same language. And I find that so hard in both, and it's negative for everybody. It's negative because, I feel like sometimes a kid, if they self-diagnose or they get a diagnosis,
Sure.
it validates how they feel immediately. It almost feels like immediate relief. Okay, that's what it is. And now I can take a medication, or now I can do it but if we're over here in the protective factor, we're becoming way more aware of how we feel, way more aware of what our thoughts are. And that's not a mental health disease like
Yes.
these kids who are seriously struggling with bipolar or, multiple personality, whatever, and I feel
Sure.
like that's, I feel like that's such a hard issue. I mean, I've had kids in the school who like went in like major crisis, like put their hands
Sure.
through wires of windows and wrestled to the ground, and we're out in 24 hours because there's just not enough time. But there's a whole ward in the hospital full of kids who maybe shouldn't be there, but they're using the same language. Like, I just feel like it all gets melded together, and I don't even know where to start with that, but it just feels like
You're really right, Cheryl, and I think these are important, but you're right. I think these issues they are complex. They are complex to the point where it is really difficult to come to kind of a nice solution, right? It's
yeah,
really challenging to do that.
of course.
And I think what we want to provide schools, and I'm even thinking, just in individual therapy, because for the past 20 years, and I'm still doing that, is I get to do individual therapy, which is honestly so awesome. Like, it's just so awesome. Like, I love to meet with people. It's absolutely been a privilege in my life to do that, and to just get to know the good and some of the struggle that they're dealing with on a daily basis. But I'm very, very, very cautious whenever I'm talking to someone around the language of diagnosis. And I'll often tell people, I'll say, look, I'm willing to talk about a diagnosis, but only if it's helpful, like only if it allows and gives us a direction on
Yes.
how to proceed and how to figure out a way to solve that.
Yeah.
But I think right now, right, I think we're jumping to those terms very quickly. And I actually don't feel, I think we're actually doing a bit of a disservice in that regard, because I think teens jump to that, right? And then it almost becomes this kind of self-fulfilling type prophecy piece where they begin to identify with their disorder, and that being the majority of who they are, when that's just like, man, we're just talking about a piece of that, who you are.
I am
yes,
depressed.
this may be happening.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And almost to the point where when they're happy, they feel like they're betraying who they really are. And so they feel like happiness is faking it, sadness is really who I am. And it's just so unbelievably untrue. Like, that cannot be true.
Yes.
And so, but I've noticed that with kids a lot and adults as well, by the way. Like, I think we can just become so convinced that we are these rigid creatures, when the reality is, like, I feel like our the best thing about us is our adaptability and is our evolution. Like, it's not the survival of the fittest, it's survival of the most adaptable, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's who we are. We have this unbelievable Ferrari up here, that is the most sophisticated thing in the universe. But we often, right, once again, we feel very rigid. Well, this is just who I am. This is who you married. This is, and that's just, I don't believe that that's true.
Yeah.
at all,
I
actually.
couldn't agree with you more. Yuri, I would love to, and we talked about this before, doing
Yeah.
a second episode, and I feel like we're going down a path that requires a second episode that will come with a disclaimer that we will be talking about some real serious crisis issues because it needs to be talked about. But as we wrap up this episode in the proactive,
Positive.
yes, let's do that. But I want, if you could just, from step 1 to step 2, a parent hears about this, and this might be just audio, so they can't scan your QR code if it's audio.
Sure.
But what do? Parents hear about you, or the school hears about you, administrator hears about you, kid hears about you. Step 1, step 2, step 3. What do we do?
I love it. Yeah, just I think the easiest way to reach out to me is, you can email me directly, and I can provide that for you. My name is Yuri. It's I-U-R-I. It phonetically makes no sense, but it's just Yuri at schoolpulse.org. You can also go to our website at schoolpulse.org and see what we're doing there. Cheryl, I'll share with you some of our videos, our mental health resource. We've put together the most comprehensive student wellness resource in the world. Like, it's true. I know that sounds so cliche and but it's really true. Like, we've just put it together, honestly, because there isn't great stuff out there. And we've found a lot of schools and districts who had no resources at all. And so we just put it together. We created it. And our goal is, one of our fun objectives is to just make this totally available. And parents, you can go look at our videos. Teens, you can go look at our videos. You can go look at our resources. You don't have to put in your email or subscribe or download anything. Just go look at them, utilize them. You'll see videos there all the way from helping kids how to not overthink, or help them to finish out their year well in school.
What I watched yesterday, overthinking, setting goals, burnout. Oh yeah, it was great. They're great. And they're like bite-sized. And you get to the heart of it. I love those videos. They're so valuable.
And that's really why we wanted to create them, right? Is not only did we want to give teens a tool for them specifically that would be attractive to them, but we wanted to give parents something that they could utilize with their kids in an easy way, in a friendly way, and hopefully in a way that's not too cringy and that's fun. So, and you guys can just access those. Those are there for you. Those are for you to share with your listeners, if you will. And if a school wants to reach out to us, we would just absolutely love it. We can have an impact from day one, like day one. And it's not going to feel like it's one more thing that you need to do. We really are coming in for your support. Like, we're going to multiply your efforts. We're going to reach deeper. We're going to reach better. And we're just going to help you to reach your own objectives. And so that's what I would say. I hope that's okay.
And everything is going in the show notes, but listeners, I'm coming from the angle of a parent. I'm coming from the angle of a parent advocate. I'm coming from the angle of special education specialist and guidance counselor. And I'm telling you, this is not just another thing to do. This is, I said it at the beginning, I'll say it again, Yuri, this is revolutionary. This is definitely changing lives, and it changed mine just meeting you. It changed mine going through those videos. And I feel like we just need to dive in even more. This is great stuff. And I am so grateful for the work you're doing for our kids. I'm just super grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for your kind words. That's really awesome, Cheryl. And absolutely, if we've got a round 2 coming, let's do it. Let's dive into it.
I love it. Thank you again for listening to Parenting Teens Advice Redefined. I am so grateful that you spent some time with us, and would be even more grateful if you shared this with people. You have to know a teen, or you have to know someone who knows a teen, and you could be that one caring adult in their world. So share this. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.